evening, everybody. Welcome along to this edition of SportsView on your media.tv. And it's Monday, the 18th of March, and it's a bank holiday here in the Green Republic of Ireland. For all of you, our national holiday was yesterday. There are some people just waking up as we speak, but however, that's fine too. We have the usual welcome, Joe Waters, to the show.
Thank you, and a happy late St. Patrick's Day to everybody.
Yeah. Welcome, Derwynne, to the show.
Hey, Pat. Hey, Joe.
Now, we'll be covering the usual things on the show: soccer, rugby, tennis, golf, boxing, snooker. I have a few stories. But before I came on air, there was breaking news that Nottingham Forest has been docked 4 points for this financial irregularities. I don't know what they're calling it now. You know, it seems that every team can be docked except Man City. What do you think, Derwynne?
Well, they were talking about it tonight on the radio. Now the latest is the Premier League have now said that the 100-odd that Man City have got against them aren't to do with monetary irregularities.
Oh dear.
Yeah, so they've kind of been moved sideways now. They're out of the frame for any of this nonsense.
All it means, on a selfish note, it means Luton are gone up out of the relegation tree.
But I mean, what they're saying is that because Forest spent 150 million at the beginning of the season on buying 30 players, that they basically have in the Premier League eyes, they've stretched themselves, even though the owner has paid for all of it.
It gets worse, lads, doesn't it? As the weeks go by, doesn't it? It's just astonishing the way some clubs are treated. You know,
but they're talking about there's another club in the championship. I can't remember if it's. I don't think it's Leicester, but I think another one of the ones that might be coming up. They're going to get stopped before they come up, because they've overspent or they've gone into some irregularities again.
Yeah.
That are basically affecting their point situation in the championship. That they might come up, they'll get promoted, but they will start on a minus points already. And
yes.
The latest as well is that the Premier, the Championship, the English League, I suppose, the English FA, I suppose,
the EFL,
want the money from the clubs that come down in their parachute payment. They want the money.
The EFL does, as opposed to the clubs.
Yeah.
Well, I can't see that happening, and I can't see it happening.
It just sounds like a complete mess.
It sounds astonishing. Now the Premiership is taking a break now for the international competitions in the next week or so, you know. But in the Premiership over the weekend, Burnley had a win and Fulham won in the couple of Premiership matches around. But there was a big emphasis on the FA Cup. And my match, apart from the Liverpool Man United match, Coventry, I watched all the Coventry City and Wolves match. It was from start to finish. It was one of the most entertaining football matches I saw this year. That's Coventry and Wolves. It was just a fabulous game, you know. And of course, Man City. Joe, what do you think of Man United? We can't ask Derwynne because he'd be a bit biased, you know, about Man United and Liverpool, you know.
Well, after what I read online from him this morning, he's not at best happy anyway with their performance and how they played.
Yeah.
But I mean, a good win for him, a great win for him. They rode their luck a little bit. They should have won it really in regulation. I mean, Rashford had a great opportunity to set that goal up, and he just got it wrong. And actually, the winning goal to me was even a bit more difficult to go in, because the kid, when he took his touch, he took it off to the left, which kind of affected his angle of being able to get it in.
Yeah.
So to sneak it inside the post the way that he did was a great finish. But you know, Liverpool must be kicking themselves. But again, it all gets down to United and how they defend in midfield. I mean, you're looking at two of the Liverpool goals were deflections.
Yes.
Harvey Elliott's was a deflection, and McAllister's was a deflection.
Yeah.
And they're in the middle of the field, inside the box and at the top of the box, and there's nobody really closing them down, other than to make desperate tackles. And when you're making desperate sliding tackle in a situation like that, anything can happen.
It can, yeah.
That's true. I mean, I Christian Eriksen, again, I'm sorry, but he doesn't do anything for the team. He doesn't defend properly. He got caught again. I mean, on a simple throw-in, he cannot mark properly, and it just drives me mad. And then they had the McAllister one as well. So I mean, for winning the game, they were very fortunate. But by the same token, they gave Liverpool, 2 goals that really should not be happening.
Yeah, that's true as well when you analyze the game. But I thought, not because you're here, Joe, I thought Leicester City were a bit unfortunate against Chelsea, after bringing it back to 2-2. I thought they played very well,
They played well, but to be honest, my take on that game is if Leicester City are going to play like that in the Premiership, it's going to be a very short stay for them up there.
Yeah,
because the chances they take coming out the back, they're playing with the guys that they have at the back, just the 3 of them. I'm never a big fan of three at the back anyway, because it can get, unless you're really well organized, it can get stretched if you're not paying attention to it. And that's what happened with the guy that got the red card. Is his name Doyle? For Leicester when they broke through the middle that time, and he came across and just caught the guy outside the box. But the way that they tried to play out the back and through the middle, I mean, they live very dangerously. And at the Premier League level, you're not going to get away with that.
So now, Derwynne, we have Man United v Coventry and Man City versus Chelsea. So how do you see those matches going?
Well, I think the Coventry United game will be a bit closer than people might imagine. I just feel as though the occasion might be more in favour of United than the Coventry players. I think that might just, they might be a bit overexcited about being at Wembley and all the rest of it. I think United will nick it just about. And if Chelsea play like they did against Leicester, I mean, I thought Chelsea would. I turned it over. That's how bad it was to me watching it.
Yeah.
I mean, Sterling. I can't believe Sterling's still on the pitch.
Yeah, and he's an English international, but England are playing Brazil the weekend, lads. In case you're interested in friendly, Saturday. I think Saturday they're playing.
Yeah,
Saturday. Yeah. Then they got Belgium on.
Well, I think Sterling's England days are over.
Oh,
the penalty was absolutely abysmal, and then the free kick from the top of the box.
That could have been at Twickenham, couldn't it?
Yeah. That thing is still going down the high street somewhere in London.
It is, and I think he'll probably find it today if he's walking around London. That's Sterling. But every in the championship, it's hotting up in the championship. Ipswich beat Sheffield Wednesday 6-0, and West Brom beat Bristol City 2-0, and Leeds United won 2-0 at Millwall. Obviously, they have a game played more than Leicester because of the cup tie for Leicester, But in the championship at the moment, as it stands, with only a couple of matches left, Leeds United have 82 points. Leicester City have 82 points. Ipswich Town has 81 points. Southampton has 73. West Brom 66, and Norwich 61 and Hull City 58. So 82, 82, 81, but they all have a game more played than Leicester City. You know, that's Leeds, Leicester, and Ipswich are 82, 82, 81. So those three teams have been in pole position anyway through the year, as we said. It looks like two out of those three will automatically go up anyway, you know. And
Leeds are the informed team in the championship.
Right now
they have gone. They've become only the second team in the history of the championship. Reading was the last team to go from. I'm not sure what it was, but they had after so many games they had 16 points, and then within the amount of games they played, went to the top of the championship.
Yeah.
I mean, they are red hot at a time when Leicester are on. I mean, I don't know. Are they losing 3 or 4 in a row with the cup match?
They lost, including the cup. They lost 3 league matches and the cup match. Yeah, that's 4 in a row.
Yeah, so that's not a good thing. And then Ipswich hammering. And Wednesday.
It's coming at the wrong time in the season as well for them. But you don't know. They take heart. You know, they're a solid team. Like they're still a solid team.
They are, but you know they might have been smoke and mirrors in the beginning. You know, they may have flattered to deceive. They have guys now that are not playing well and that are not effective in what they're doing. They're not scoring like they were, and it's going to be. I still think that they'll make it, but they might just kind of limp across instead of being the dominant team that they were earlier on.
And Luton Town salvaged a point away to Nottingham Forest, which was a reasonably good result for them, you know. And they're still hanging in there, as they say, but we'd have hopes of them. SportsView is the program on nearmedia.tv. Press the red button on the right-hand side to subscribe to our channel, and it's free of charge. Just move along to Rugby Union. The Six Nations came to an end over the weekend, and Ireland and Scotland. Ireland beat Scotland in Lansdowne Road in a terrible match, a terrible rugby match, in my opinion. But they won it, and I'm not knocking Ireland for taking it. I thought I couldn't watch it. I was just flicking over and back to it. So I thought it was a terrible match anyway. Italy beat Wales 24-21, and France beat England 33-31. So France did England, but England did Ireland until 33-31. Anyway, it was a cracking penalty. Anyway, cracking penalty that won for France. The table, if you look at the table coldly, you would see that Wales won no match out of their 5 games. They lost them all. But I don't think that's a true reflection of the Welsh team, because in some of the matches they were competitive and unlucky as well. So when you look at the table, I know they finished last with the wooden spoon. Italy, we were questioning. Well, I was questioning Italy's participation in the Six Nations. They seem to be have improved an awful lot as a team, a rugby team, Italy, in my opinion, and you know, to finish with, and they were unlucky in a few games as well. So, you know, fair play to them. It's good to see other teams being able to be competitive. But Ireland won their back-to-back championships, and it looks like Peter O'Mahony is retiring. All right, you know, looks like it, and a few more. They're playing. They're going down to Africa for a test series. That's Ireland during the summer, and I think there'll be some new faces taken on that building for the future. You know, if a lot of the lads, they've played a lot of rugby. You know, Peter O'Mahony has played a huge amount of rugby, 100+ caps for Ireland, plus all the games he had for Munster, and there you go. What, did you see any of the rugby over the weekend?
Yeah, I saw a bit of it.
Yeah.
It was, yeah, I mean, you know, it's hard to knock Ireland. You know, they lost the close one to England, and they managed to win this one. You know, but both of them were scrappy games.
Yeah.
And I think you're right. You know, it's probably maybe giving them the chance to see what they were like in this Six Nations after what happened at the World Cup was fair play. And I think it's shown now that, like you said, some of the war horses that have been so great for us, it's time for them to step aside and some younger guys.
I think O'Mahony and Tyke Furlong and Conor Murray and a few more will fold up their tent. But I don't think Ireland are the number one team in the world of rugby, in my opinion. I know it's
no,
easy.
they're not. I mean, they're not now because it'd be South Africa, wouldn't it?
I know to be the All Blacks of South Africa. They'd be 1 and 2 in my head.
South Africa won the World Cup, didn't they?
Yeah.
So with
South
the last
Africa are number one, aren't they?
Yeah.
And
I just think that, like you just said there about a couple of those Irish players, they wouldn't be in the next World Cup, would they?
No.
You know, they might get another Six Nations out of them, but in reality, I think Ireland are probably going into not into a rebuild, but they're going into some younger players, aren't they?
Well, I mean, in my opinion, I'm not a rugby expert, but looking at the team, I think that maybe 5 or 6 players to come into that team. You know, a top class players come into that team.
Great program last night with Scrum 5, which is a Welsh rugby program.
Yes,
it's just for Wales. They had Gatland on it last night talking for about half an hour.
Go where?
And you've got to admire him because he's brutally honest. You know, and he said, you know, there was moments, they were competitive.
Yeah.
He said, but we are building a team for the next World Cup.
They are a very young team. They're very young.
Last night, the average age was 21.
Yeah, and so I mean, the fact that they got 0 in the championship, as I said, I think there's good promise there, you know.
But I think what he was going on about was really interesting. Was the Welsh FA, the Welsh Rugby Union, they put a cap on all the clubs that they can't spend more than $4.5 million on the club teams.
Yeah.
And what he was trying to explain, and what some of the players, what Sam Warburton was doing it on Saturday after the Wales game, was saying that the Welsh Rugby Union need to invest at the top end rather than the bottom end, because the top end is where it's on TV, the kids will watch it, they'll aspire to be, you know, George North, for argument's sake, or, you know, Lee Halfpenny, whatever.
Yeah.
But what the Welsh Rugby Union have been doing for the last sort of 4 years is they've been ploughing all their funds into grassroots, and they're not getting anywhere with it because Wales, believe it or not, are losing kids to football more than rugby.
They are in Ireland. We were lucky in that we did invest in the provinces, Munster, Leinster, Ulster and Connacht, for the European campaign. And we had a 2-tier system, or a 3-tier system, if you like, of contracts for your club, your province, and your country. And they stipulated the top-tier players could only play so many games for their club and so many games for their province, and then the rest was with the national team. So it built up a structure which we reaped the benefit of really a couple of years down the line. And I think that the Welsh club scene, Scarlets and those, they're not competitive. They're not competitive in the URC, in the United Rugby Championship, you know.
And that's what Gatland was saying, is that at club level like that, they are not competitive, and their crowds are dwindling because do you really want to go and watch it? You know, whereas what he's saying is that when Wales are winning and they're winning Grand Slams and everything else, rugby's massive in Wales. When Wales aren't doing so well, the whole country turns away and looks the other way, sort of thing.
Yeah.
But there was something I've got to ask you two Irish boys now. So O'Driscoll came out with something really interesting on the BBC or the ITV coverage of the match, as a pundit. I had no idea. He said something. I'm not sure if it's true or whether it's out of context. But if it is true, I'm staggered. He was saying that rugby is the 4th biggest sport in Ireland. Would that be right?
I say that you have Gaelic games. You have Gaelic football, hurling, soccer, and rugby would be next. He's dead right here.
Wow, because I would have.
Yeah.
See, I would have, as an outsider, I would have thought that it's football first, and then rugby would be second or third.
No,
I didn't realise there were 3 other sports in front of rugby in Ireland.
No.
Yeah. Well, it's the same in France for football.
Yeah.
Football is what I mean. You have rugby. You have cycling.
Yeah.
And soccer is the 3rd sport there.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think there's another one there that they play that they have it. But yeah, I mean that is, and that's the thing with it. It's. I mean, rugby used to be huge in Limerick at one point when it was the old club system, and you had Gary Owen, Shannon, you had Young Munsters, and all those guys playing out there, and they had great teams. I mean, they were. Then you had Cork Cons down in Cork.
You had Gary Owen and Shannon, and
Shannon
dominated the club scene for years.
Yeah.
And
then junior rugby was huge as well.
Schools rugby is still very big in Ireland.
Yeah.
Schools rugby is still very big.
Because Gatland was saying that they're losing lots of players in Wales who are coming through like under 15s, under the 12-year-old bracket upwards, because they're getting scholarships to go to Eton and Harrow and Ripley. The private schools are giving all the young Welsh players
an education,
education and a scholarship, and then they're going straight into being pilfered from those private schools, straight into all the English rugby clubs. And because England play this, Wales play this stupid rule about if you're not playing rugby in Wales,
you won't be picked for that. We had that silly rule for a while as well, But
has that gone out the window now in Ireland?
Well, I think it is, because Johnny Sexton proved that was stupid. He went to France and they had no choice only pick him because he was our number one. He was our number one for the Irish team. So then all the other Irish players who were being ignored playing in France said, this rule seems to be, I think it's still there, but it's ignored like a typical Irish solution. It's just there. It's there on the shelf if it's needed.
It's an Italian law.
I see England lost one of their guys over the last week. He's gone to France to play, so it makes him ineligible.
That's Owen Farrell.
Was it? Yeah, but there was another one as well. I think it was a forward player.
Yeah.
That is gone over there, and he's not going to be playing international for England anymore. So
go on, carry on, John.
Yeah, no, I just find it interesting that you have these players that are able to go and play are good enough to play in a French league that's a very good league, and make good money for it.
Yes.
And they won't pick them and playing with top class players.
Yes.
And now you won't play them for your national team. I mean, I was thinking about it this morning as I was reading stuff. The international break this week and what have you.
Yeah.
The amount of players that are going to be gone from the Premiership and the Championship that are going to be playing international soccer this week. And if you think back to 30, 40 years ago, they would have all been Irish, Scottish, Welsh players that would be there. No, they wouldn't be able to play international football because there's not enough room in a squad of 18 for them, or a squad of 20 for them.
Mm.
So, that's where we're losing out. All these international players coming in and being here. I mean, this is very similar to what happened in the old NASL in America back in the days.
Yeah.
I mean, you had players coming from Poland, Yugoslavia, South America, everywhere in South America, Africa. And everyone thought it was only old players that were going over there. But it was a lot of older players from England that were going over there. But there was a lot of players in their prime coming from other countries around. Danish players, it was huge. And, and that's where now we wonder why we don't have a great national team in Ireland, because the positions that these guys would have normally taken are being taken by other people.
Yeah, and
could you imagine that rule in football that rugby have like that? Can you imagine Harry Kane not being able to play for England because he plays in Germany?
I know, yeah.
Or Jude Bellingham, or because he plays in Germany. I mean, or Spain.
Or Messi playing abroad. He can't play for Argentina.
Yeah, can you? It's bonkers, isn't it? I mean, talk about kicking
yourself.
Talk
about players and the love of the game. Spare a thought. I was reading a story today. I just came across it. San Marino is probably the bottom place team in world soccer, as we know. It's tiny. It's a population of, is it 33,000 or something like that? No, something like that. Anyway, they're looking. There's the captain of San Marino. I'll have to read out his name because I couldn't. Matteo Vitilioli. Okay, I only see that once. You can look him up himself.
That's easy for you to say, isn't it?
He's playing 17 years with San Marino, and they'll be looking for they have 2 friendlies coming up over the weekend. I'll be watching with St. Kitts and Nevis, and they fancy their chance of winning a game internationally in 17 years against them. So there'll be a match to look out for. San Marino versus St. Kitts and Nevis. It's a fantastic story. He's played 136 games, and he said one of the games that stands out for him of the world's 5th smallest country was when the Netherlands beat him 11-0. And the Netherlands were winning 9-0. He was telling the story. I thought it was a great interview. You should look him up, And he was saying, all the Dutch crowd were saying, score more, score more, score. They were encouraging him. And they were 9-0 ahead at that stage. So it really didn't matter. And the San Marino players are looking at themselves like, what difference does it make if they score any more goals? Because we're 9-0 down. So if it makes 12-13, so what, But
do you remember when San Marino took the lead against England?
Yeah, I remember that.
With Stuart Pearce and that back pass.
Yeah.
There was a program on over here where they got all the old England players back together, and Harry Redknapp managed them.
Yeah.
In a charity match against another team, and they went to San Marino, and they were all joking and different things, and they asked Harry Redknapp. There was Robert Lee, and there was Sharp, a load of old England players. Why are we in San Marino? And like one of them joked around, said, "Must be Harry hiding all his money in the tax exempt area, right?" But they went. Harry and John Barnes went to the computer shop, and John Barnes has said, "Come on, Harry, we're going to go and see a good player today from San Marino. I reckon you might fancy him," and point him in the right direction. And they went in the high street in San Marino, and they went in a computer shop that sold like computer cases and not computers, but bits, crap like that,
accessories.
And he was like, "Why are we in here? I thought you were taking me to see a young player." And he said, "No, I had taken you to see San Marino's best player, most famous player. This is the guy." And the guy behind the counter was selling like phone cases. This is the guy who scored against England, and literally, like the guy was saying that he's lived out on that forever and a day, that he's the one guy who scored against England.
We spare a thought for them.
Right, because I feel bad now. I better buy a phone case or something from you to make me feel bad.
Yeah, you've so we'll be watching out for San Marino versus St. Kitts and Nevis over the weekend, lads. And the population of San Marino is 33,000. So they're the 5th smallest country in the world. So players are playing for teams like that. are playing for the love of the game and are playing their enthusiasm. I mean, you see San Marino running out for any game. I mean, their energy and their enthusiasm for the game, counts for something. There's an awful lot being lost in soccer today. We've spoken about it, but I think teams like that are to be given prominence. Not to be lost amongst all the millionaire superstars who will be parading their wares over the weekend. And it's not their fault. But I was just thinking as we were talking about it there, if Arsenal, Liverpool, Man City had to turn out a Premiership team over the weekend of the internationals without all their internationals, what kind of teams would they be turning out? As you were saying, Derwynne, like Arsenal.
You think about Man City. I mean, who would they have? They'd Foden.
Really? Yeah, they don't have Jack Grealish because John Stones.
Yeah.
Stones, yeah.
So Haaland, Stones.
Haaland with Norway, is it? Haaland?
No,
yeah,
no. I mean, all their other ones would be young guys that are on the bench.
Yeah, Walker, I suppose.
Kyle Walker, yeah, he's another one.
I mean, it's quite interesting when you think about it, isn't it?
Who's their goalkeeper? Who's their goalkeeper?
Allison.
Yeah, he'll be
Brazilian, isn't he?
Yeah, he'll be gone.
Yeah.
He'll be playing against England.
Yeah.
They could probably be all right, though, because they could probably play without a goalkeeper anyway.
Yeah.
They could play
it's just interesting. I mean, then you have Ben White that has just told England that he doesn't want to play. He doesn't want to be a part of it anymore.
On the Irish scene, Joe, you might be interested in Derwynne too. I watched League of Ireland. I have League of Ireland TV channel, so I watched because I'm following him for a few years. Damien Duff's team. Remember Damien Duff?
Oh yeah.
He's managing Shelbourne. He signed on for 2 more years with them. There's big investment gone into the club, and they're top of the league. They're 5 or 6 points ahead. Shamrock Rovers are going for their 5 in a row, but Shelbourne were playing away Friday night against St. Patrick's Athletic, a Dublin derby. A cracking match. I thoroughly enjoyed the match. They won it 2-1, Shelbourne, and full house. But Damien Duff, because of Damien Duff himself, I think that there's confidence now in the club, and the grounds and the facilities have improved out of all order, in the League of Ireland. And I think the more investment will go in something, the more you invest in facilities and things like that, Irish players who are plying their trade in the Republic can see a pathway to the national team. It's a shame that it doesn't get as much coverage as it should, because our own radio stations here over the weekend, I don't know why it is, they have endless Premiership games, commentary on it, and nothing on the League of Ireland. It's astonishing to me. You don't go over to BBC Bristol and hear them broadcasting Cork City and Waterford United every Saturday or Sunday.
No. Well, because there's been a lack of interest in it and a lack of investment in it. I mean, look at Limerick.
Yeah.
I mean, Limerick has been a traditional, has had a team forever and a day.
Yeah.
And now we don't have, we have a second division League of Ireland team.
Yeah, you have Treaty United are doing they're doing well. They're doing very well this year. They persevered with local talent because they didn't have budget to get semi-professional players into the club, but they're doing well. They're building a nice team, and I'm hopeful they'll get promotion. It's just myself,
I'm just surprised that no clubs in England, especially the lower level Premier League clubs, and even the top ones, why they don't invest in a club in Ireland with a development academy and start developing their own players from there, because it only takes you one player, for your investment every 5 years or so for it to be worthwhile. Yeah. And then you never know the other side to it, because the stuff that they do now with loaning players out and giving them places to play, and then selling those players on to other clubs. I mean, Jimmy was talking about it there a year or so ago when we was on here, talking about Waterford and Coventry back in the day.
Yeah,
like Coventry used to pay half of their wages.
Yeah, Cork City had a tie-up back in the 70s with Doncaster Rovers, and they got an absolute jewel of a player from Doncaster, Tony Marsden.
Yeah.
Cork Brownians, and Tony Marsden, he had the hardest header of a ball I ever saw in soccer, it was harder than a kick in the ball, if you understand what I'm saying, Marsden, he had unbelievable agility to head a goal from a good bit out, and that was 20 miles for them. But there was a move in the 1980s to move to Wimbledon when Wimbledon were looking around for a ground that time. Remember?
Yeah.
There was moves with Eamon Dunphy was involved on a few more heads in Dublin, and Dermot Desmond was called upon as well, who's a big investor in Celtic Football Club. That's Dermot Desmond, the businessman, and to move Wimbledon to Dublin. They could still participate in league in England, because there's only a flight across. There's only a 45-minute flight, and to take them that longer to go to some of the clubs anyway in England.
It takes them longer to get to Grimsby.
There's a huge momentum behind it, and the excitement, because they were very popular in Ireland. The Crazy Gang, I think it's to do with the Irish psyche as well, and it was touch and go, and eventually the pressure came on from League of Ireland and from the FAI that this would not be good for the development of soccer in Ireland. So it was knocked in the head. But
I reckon you should be pitching to do the commentary at the League of Ireland games, Pat.
Oh yeah.
Well, if no one's following it, why not step in there?
Yeah.
Yeah, you could be the new Philip Green.
Doing it by video link, can you?
Well, to be easy to commentate, they facilitate more. Actually, that's a thought. All the matches down the League of Ireland are on Friday night. Friday night is their spot.
I'm full of ideas, aren't I?
Yeah.
Well, it used to be Sunday till the Premier League decided they were going to start playing games on Sunday and what have you.
Friday night now is League of Ireland, and then the Saturday at 1:15 or 2 o'clock. But so that's taken up as well with some early games and all this. But anyway, if they're good enough, and if the package is good enough, and it's value for money, and you have a decent facilities, people will go all right. There's no doubt about that, And we just mentioned a few more things here as we're reminiscing. There's a 1,000 series tennis tournament that's on in Indian Wells every year. It's considered just a step below the 4 majors that you have in tennis for the men and women. It's a very prestigious tournament to win. And over the weekend we had the women's and men's final, and Alcaraz beat Daniel Medvedev in the final, and he beat Sinner in the semi-final. So he's playing very well. And Iga Świątek from Poland, who's winning a lot, she won the women's final as well. And so there'd be 2 players now who would be considered, Alcaraz considered a big threat to Novak Djokovic to win another Grand Slam, not that he has to. Over the weekend, I don't generally see the Players' Championship over the weekend, the much vaunted Players' Championship over the weekend. Scotty Scheffler won that at -20, 67, 69, 68, and 64. And he just got a handy $4.5 million for his weekend work, Shane Lowry finished on -9 in 19th place, 71, 70, 72, which killed him, and then 66 for the last round. He finished in 19th place, and he got $286,000 for his weekend. It was a nice piece of money. the same mark as Rory McIlroy finished on -9 as well. Rory McIlroy got 2 free drops.
Yeah, there's big question marks
And
over that first one.
well, my son and his buddies have been off this morning playing golf, and I was talking to them in the car, all of them, before they left, and they said, well, 2 of the lads were absolutely adamant that it was shocking.
Well, Hovland made a point about it, didn't he?
Yeah.
Victor Hovland's actually he's raised a few eyebrows, I think is the right phrase.
Well, it's not fair.
Well, where he took the drop from was wrong.
Yeah.
I mean that was,
and
again,
should you be disqualified for that?
You would be, yeah.
Except you're Rory McIlroy.
Well, he got the ref out, and the ref went with what him and the caddy said, rather than normally you always go with what your playing partners say.
Yeah,
Even if you think they're wrong, you go with what they say. And he didn't. When you watch it, he didn't cross the boundary of the hazard where they're saying, where he said, not a chance.
It was highly unusual.
Very, very questionable.
Yeah, that's it. Why would he do something like that?
Well, I guess he just thought he was right and they were wrong, and that's that, I guess. But again, they should have. I mean, there's a good reason for having a bit of VAR involved.
But on the subject of VAR, how does it take 5.5 minutes to come to a decision?
Oh, I was hoping you weren't going to. I mean, we've spoken about VAR so much that people say to you when I walk around town that have seen this podcast, you weren't discussing VAR last night, were you, lads? I mean, you're 5.5 minutes. 5 people, is it looking at it?
Right.
It's nuts. It's completely nuts.
Yeah.
How are they surviving in the championship without VAR?
Very well, I think.
No headlines. Very few headlines,
Yeah.
I
mean, that offside the other day, was it on Saturday? Was it? What team? It was in one of the FA Cup things.
Coventry.
I mean, I think it was Coventry. Yeah. I mean, the offside that they pulled. I mean, it was
a shadow.
So years and years ago, there was I think it was Alan Lamb went absolutely bananas at an umpire. And when he got back in the dressing room, he was called out. And when he got back in the dressing room, I think it was Brian Johnston turned around in an interview and said, "You went mental out there. Why did you go mental at the umpire?" And he said, "Because I did clip the ball. There is no doubt about that. I did clip the ball." He said, "But there is no way that anybody other than myself would know that ball grazed my bat. I mean, it didn't make a sound. He said it was like a vibration up the handle he got.
Nobody would know.
There was no way that an umpire would have known that it was that thin of a touch, right?"
Yeah.
And you the other day with that, I think it was the Coventry game. It was something like his finger. I mean, was offside.
I thought it was his shadow.
Honestly, it's like again, you go back to that cricket analogy, and it was like, the human eye would not have seen that as offside.
So if my shadow is behind your shadow, I could be offside.
Well, you just sit there and you think they're drawing these lines, and it's, come on, Joe, you've played pro football. I mean, if your fingertip was offside, you'd be going mental, wouldn't you?
Yeah, you would. And I mean, it's getting to be so ridiculous how we're changing things now to suit whatever narrative is going on at the time. Like the handball rule.
Well, the handball thing, I don't know what handball is.
Lads,
it used to be. It used to be that it had to be intentional, right? And intentional is your hand is out, your arm is out from your body,
Absolutely.
right? Or you make movement towards the ball,
Yeah.
right? To me, that's as simple as it can possibly be, right? And when guys say, "Well, he can't be jump, or he's got to jump somehow. He's got to use his arms to get up." But the power of jumping comes from your legs, right? It don't come from your arms. They're not wings. You're not able to flap them and get. You're not able to flap them and get an extra 2 inches out of it. You know, and I mean, we were always taught to, when you're jumping for a header, jump with your feet just slightly apart.
Yeah.
You know, if you jump with them too far apart, you're going to lose height.
You are.
In your jump.
Yeah.
You know, so it's just ridiculous to me that they're arguing the fact that, well, his arms have got to be somewhere. Well, yeah, they got to be down by his side, straight down.
Yeah.
What are they doing? What are they doing up in the air? And if they're up past level with his shoulder, then he's either up to no good with his arms on somebody and trying to get an advantage for it. So therefore, to me, you put yourself in jeopardy if you bring your arms up there and the guy in front of you ducks and misses the ball and the ball hits you on the arm.
Did you see the Brentford game? The Brent what's his name? Tony, the centre forward for Brentford. Ivan Tony, Ivan Tony, something like that.
Ivan Tony, yeah.
He was basically rugby tackled by the centre back in the penalty spot on a corner, and I'm not kidding you. The defender had got his arms around his waist and was stopping him move. And you're thinking to yourself, "Oh, come on! Look! The TV cameras are picking it up, and the referee didn't even notice it."
Right.
Oh.
And you sit there and kind of go, "Well, that's a penalty all day long." I mean,
you know, it's the world we live in. I'm afraid I'm getting increasingly out of step with some of the things that are happening, and I don't mind admitting it. We were watching. I won't say who was it, but he knows who he is. We were watching the ITV commentary, and hi, man. We were watching the ITV, looking at this later on. The ITV commentary on the Man United Liverpool match. You talk about wokery and being woke and all. The commentator, and can't think of his name. I don't want to know his name anyway. The commentator for ITV said,
Sam Matterface.
Is that who it is?
Yeah.
Well, I could think
allegedly.
I could think another name for him, allegedly. But anyway, he said during the course of the game that we'll say that Joe Waters definitely he's putting on a sterling man of the match performance. Oh, he said I better check myself. What I mean to say is player of the match. No, lads. The two of us looked at each other and we said, Jesus, is this what it's all about?
This is what it's coming to.
I could not believe it. I must check myself. Sorry about that now. Apologies for saying man of the match. It's men playing the effing game. Man, I must check myself. Player of the match.
But do they identify as men, though? That's the question you got to ask.
Well, that's a whole other one. There's another argument out there, another thing out there that's just being brought up, and it was in the papers at the weekend about the women's game.
Yeah,
and the stuff that goes on there, and it is with coaches dating players and having relationships.
Oh yeah, I was reading about that.
Yeah, and players having relations with players on teams, partnerships, and what have you off the field. Can you imagine if that happened in the guys' game? What would be going on?
It would be very tough altogether, you know. I don't know. Do you remember that big? Just looking at boxing for a minute, I had it on the list. That big Bang Zhang fella from China who was boxing, the big fella who was beaten by Joseph Parker. In the fight before that, prior to meeting Parker, he had beaten Joe Joyce, and Joe Joyce is a big man as well, like, you know. But I don't know how good he is or not. You know, he hasn't met any big decent boxer yet. But anyway, He won his comeback fight after his defeat to Zhang over the weekend. He knocked your man flat out in the 10th round. That's Joe Joyce. So he's back on track, as they say. But there was a middleweight fight as well that caught my eye. And for the British middleweight title, it was called a draw. And I don't know. I wear these, and I think some of the judges definitely. A judge called it 116 to 113 for one of the fighters. Another judge called it 115 to 114 for the other chap, and another judge called it a draw. Because you see what you see, I suppose, But your man is fuming over the fella that thought he had won the title. Anyway, the new women's snooker champion in World Snooker is Bai Yuan, BEI, Bai Yuan from China. She's the new World Snooker Women's Champion. Anybody who missed it over the weekend, and she beat the number one contender from Thailand 6-5, but she also beat Rhiannon Evans from Britain in the semi-final. Rhiannon Evans got to the semi-final and she lost it to Bai Yuan 5-3. I was flicking around the sports channels and I saw her getting the trophy. That's how much what I saw. But then I looked back to see the results. So there they are. In case you were waiting for that result with bated breath, you've got it now, But you can look it up.
Thanks for that, Pat.
There you
I
go.
can go to sleep easy tonight now in that.
Yeah, so as I said, and
is that Veronica O'Sullivan?
For all of you who want to find out who the commentator was on ITV in the Man United Liverpool match, and you can ask him a couple of questions.
Sam Matterface.
Yeah, I'll look it up, but I'll send him an email. I'll find his social media thing. I'll send him an email about our apology for man of the match. What are they playing? Who are they? Are they men? Were they men playing? Well, some people might. Anyway, look, let's not get tangled up in anything.
You've really got a thing about this, haven't you, Pat?
I
got
think,
a bit between your teeth
I
on this
think,
one, haven't you?
as the man said, not to be too cruel about it. We have to nip it in the bud before it gets out of hand. So now, before we finish that, we're looking out for San Marino against St. Kitts and Nevis is on over the weekend. 17 years the captain is playing on the team, and I don't think he's 34 years of age now, and 17 years to be playing on San Marino, and I think in their 17 years they have one win and one draw, as far as I know. I didn't look up the thing, but I mean, really and truly, I think those enthusiastic players should be applauded, should be applauded. We have Brazil and England to look out for over the weekend. The usual 0-0 Bourfest, I'd say, Derwynne. I don't know about you.
Yeah, well, Southgate will put his 5 on at half time and change. No, it'll be the B team come out for half time, won't it?
He'd probably play 5 at the back, will he?
Yeah, he'll park 2 buses.
Yeah. Imagine paying 100 quid to see that,
It'd be interesting though with Brazil, because I don't know about you boys, and I'm probably aging myself here, but at one time you could probably name the Brazilian team, couldn't you?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I bet you couldn't now.
No.
You couldn't name one player except the diver from France, Neymar. Has he retired, Neymar?
I bet 3 of us could probably name the 1970s.
Didn't he go to Saudi Arabia?
He went to Saudi or China, one of the two.
Yeah, he went to Saudi, I think. And he's injured. He tore his ACL, didn't he?
Yeah.
Oh,
he's probably only getting $1 million a week for it.
Yeah.
I could cope with a bit of rehab on my knee for $1 million a week, couldn't you?
Well, the Saudi league is pretty good, I must admit. Pretty good entertainment-wise. I saw 2 or 3 of the matches on one of the channels. Now, the commentary was in Arabic. I don't speak Arabic, but I was able to follow the players.
I thought you'd be from Cork, you'd understand it, no problem.
Mohammed passes it to Mohammed, and Mohammed passes it to the goalkeeper, Mohammed. And the manager is on the line. He's Mohammed giving out.
What about this one then? Amanda Stavely, the lady that was the mover and shaker in getting the Saudis into Newcastle United. She says that she is expecting that within a few years, Saudi Arabian teams will be playing in the Champions League.
Wouldn't be no surprise. Money talks.
And I was reading yesterday somewhere, and I don't know where it was, but apparently either UEFA or FIFA has a 5-year agreement with the Saudi or a 5-tournament agreement with Saudi Arabia for competition. And it didn't elaborate on what it was, but it just said that there's an agreement in place that they're going to work with each other building towards this. So all it's doing again is more money and more money. And they were talking again last week, and although I got knocked on the head, about the Football League Cup, that UEFA wanted it gone. They didn't want it on the docket anymore.
Yeah.
And they just wanted to take it off. But they said now that is a decision for the English FA to make.
Soon we've got a winter break now. Soon we'll be having if Saudis get into it like this, we'll have a Ramadan break.
Yeah.
Well, if I think honestly, I think the FA Cup semi-final should not be on in Wembley.
No.
I think the beauty of the cup is you make the final and you play in Wembley. If you're a Brentford or a Carlisle United or a York City, and I think it diminishes the competition somewhat. They could take one of them to Manchester or Coventry. Coventry should have home
advantage.
You can still play at Villa Park, can you? And you could have one at Man City or United or even at Newcastle, couldn't you?
Yeah. You know what I think? I think it's a disgrace that they've taken away the replay.
Yeah.
Replays were a great thing for smaller clubs to help them with their finances.
Yeah.
Imagine bringing a team to Tranmere Rovers like Man City in a replay.
Oh yeah.
I mean, to be fantastic. The reception they'd get there,
yeah. I mean, it was huge. I remember we played Everton in the quarter. Was it the fifth round of the League Cup at Blundell Park? Right, Blundell Park now holds 22,000 people. Right, that night there were 30,000 people in the ground, at least. It was bulging at the seat.
Yeah.
There was people kids being put over the gate on that night because it had been that long since we had a first division club, and then we had Wolves in the next round in the quarterfinal, and it was exactly the same.
Oh, happy days!
And it was huge. The excitement around the town was absolutely massive, and that's the beauty of.
But people don't realize, Joe, you're right. The local economy profits from it because people are in such buoyant mood. There's a positivity in the whole area.
Oh yeah.
Business as well. But there you go. Anyway, the man of the match. I don't know who the man of the match was in ITV.
Person of the match.
We'll never know. But anyway, not to labor.
I'm not sure if I identify as anything anymore.
We will. So from this edition of SportsView, lads, until we meet again, and next Monday night, Lacoon of Day. Take care, Derwynne and Joe and myself. And bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, boys.
See you next week. Thank you.